It's January 19th, 2020, and the Kansas City Chiefs have their home stadium rocking for the AFC Championship game and are just 60 minutes away from going to the Super Bowl. Who are they facing? You might expect it to be the New England Patriots, who have been to the last 8 AFC Championship games, or the unanimous MVP Lamar Jackson-led Baltimore Ravens, who entered the playoffs on a 12-game winning streak. Well, the correct answer is actually the 9-7 Tennessee Titans, who beat both of these previously mentioned teams en route to their first AFC Championship appearance since 2002. Spoiler alert, the 7-point favorite Chiefs end up winning this game despite early efforts from the Titans. But the path the Titans took to get here is nothing short of spectacular, as they overcame improbable odds and serve an example of how miracles can happen on any given Sunday. The Tennessee Titans entered the 2019 NFL season on the back of a 9-7 2018 campaign. However, unlike the 9-17 from the 2019 season that is the focus of this video, the 2018 Titans did not have similar playoff luck. In fact, they actually missed the playoffs. Headed into a Week 17 matchup against the Colts, both teams had a 9-6 record, making this game a winner-take-all unofficial playoff game for 2018. Unfortunately for the Titans, their starting quarterback, former Heisman winner and second overall pick Marcus Mariota, would not play in this game after suffering an injury in the previous week against Washington. Blaine Gabbert stepped in to start for the Titans, but would lose the battle to the Andrew Luck-led Colts after they jumped out to an early 14-0 lead and never looked back. After this devastating loss where their playoff hopes were shattered, the Titans headed into the 2019 season with their Vegas win total odds set at 8 wins, which would most likely mean they missed the playoffs again. And once again, the Titans would be led by Marcus Mariota. As previously mentioned, Mariota was the Titans' second overall pick in 2015 after his Heisman campaign in 2014 with the Oregon Ducks. Mariota started 12 games in his first season with the Titans, in which they posted a 3-9 record, but Mariota himself had an alright 19th best expected points added and completion percentage over expected composite score. Marcus Mariota has remained the starter from 2018 into this new 2019 season. Over his career, his performances have kept him in the top 20 of expected points added and completion percentage over expected composite, but he really has never seen much success as a quarterback except a divisional round playoff loss to the Patriots in 2017. He's dealt with multiple injuries and really has yet to live up to the expectations he had coming out of college. So, the 2019 season gave Mariota a clean slate to be the quarterback the Titans had always hoped he would be. But he proceeded to post less than 200 yards a game, a 59.12 completion percentage, a 64.1 PFF passer grade, and the 5th lowest EPA and CPOE in the NFL en route to an abysmal 2-4 record for Tennessee. During his final game as the starter in their Week 6 matchup against the Broncos, Mariota threw for just 63 yards and 2 interceptions on 38 offensive snaps, forcing head coach Mike Vrabel to bench him for the newly acquired Miami Dolphins quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. During his stint in Miami, Tannehill posted the 30th best EPA-CPOE composite score, with the second lowest EPA per play and 20th best CPOE among 33 qualified quarterbacks from 2012 to 2018, which included a 2017 Tannehill miss due to a torn ACL. After stepping in against the Broncos, Tannehill posted a mediocre stat line of 13 of 16 passing, 144 yards, and an interception, putting up just as many points as Marcus Mariota, 0. So now, the Titans sat at a 2-4 record, which historically gives them about a 9% chance of making the playoffs. But Tannehill would become an unlikely hero for the Titans, turning their season around with a 6-3 record over their next 9 games, including wins over the Chiefs and Colts. Tannehill would actually end the season as the second most efficient quarterback in the NFL, only behind unanimous MVP Lamar Jackson, in what turned out to be a pretty weird year for quarterbacks. So at 8-7, the Titans once again headed into Week 17 with a chance at the playoffs. The Tennessee Titans' Week 17 matchup was against their fellow AFC South team and an already clinched playoff team, the Houston Texans. For the Titans, it's a win-and-you're-in situation, but a loss could remove them from the playoff picture if the Steelers can manage to stop the red-hot 11-game win streak Baltimore Ravens. Both the Ravens and Texans had already clinched their divisions, meaning that the Titans and Steelers would be facing off against Robert Griffin III and A.J. McCarron instead of Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson. But for the Titans, this game was all about their most prolific player, someone who I've yet to mention yet somehow, Derrick Henry. The 25-year-old running back out of Alabama ran all over the Texans' defense, posting a massive 211 yards and 3 touchdowns on 32 carries, sending the Titans back to the playoffs as the 6th seed in the AFC. In the playoff format of 2019, the Titans were set to face off against the number 3 seed, which was still up for grabs in Week 17. Their 2 possible opponents were the New England Patriots and Kansas City Chiefs. The Patriots entered Week 17 as the 2 seed, with a win in Miami guaranteeing that position along with a first-round bye. A loss for the Patriots would bump them down to the 3 seed if and only if the Chiefs managed to beat the Chargers, which they pretty easily did. That game included this 104-yard kickoff return touchdown from Mecole Hardman.
Just 5 games. Hardman is back there. He'll bring it out. Mecole Hardman gets a block from Sherman. Gets a block from Thompson. He's off to the races. Cuts inside. You can kiss him. Goodbye.
Pretty cool. But the Patriots have had Miami's number for years and enter that game as a 17.5-point favorite, and they have Tom Brady, so they're definitely going to win, right? Right? With 3:54 left on the clock, the Patriots take the lead and everything looks good. Wait a sec, is that Ryan Fitzpatrick? Well, here he comes. The grizzled veteran is charging down the field, determined to play spoiler to the Patriots and lose the first overall pick for the Dolphins. With only 29 seconds remaining, Fitzmagic finishes off one of the craziest upsets the league has seen in the home of Brady himself, setting up former quarterback Ryan Tannehill to come to town, and more importantly, avoid the Chiefs because we all know how that ends.
Well, the stadium got real quiet real quick.
Entering this game against the Patriots, the Titans are surely outmatched, having the 15th best defense in the league, but surprisingly the 6th best offense, thanks in large part due to Derrick Henry. However, on the other side, the Patriots boast the far and away best defense in the league, stopping the pass at an unheard of rate, with the 6th best rush defense and 15th best overall offense too. Important to remember though, is that they are led by Belichick and Brady, who've been to 8 straight AFC Championship games and won 5 of them. Despite this, the Titans hold an interestingly advantageous matchup, as their rush attack could find success against the Patriots' only defensive weakness, along with hope to slow down Brady's surprisingly but honestly average offense. The Titans head to Foxborough as 5.5-point underdogs, but they still have a chance. In order for the Titans to win this game, they will need to rely on Derrick Henry and their defense. Plain and simple, right? It's not like they have a head coach who has been the head coach for less time than it's been since the opposing team's last Super Bowl appearance. The defensive aspect to this game showed early, with the Patriots managing only a field goal on their first drive.
36 yards and the kick is good.
The Titans would then do what they do best and run the ball. Henry would get the ball 7 times on the ensuing Titans drive, racking up 55 total yards and draining the clock in the process. The best red zone team since Tannehill took over would cash in on Henry's work early, giving them a 7-3 lead.
Tannehill end zone, touchdown Tennessee.
While the Titans defense played well on their first drive, it wasn't long before the Empire struck back. Marching down the field to end the first quarter, some big runs and of course Brady passes to some of the league's top pass catchers, Mohamed Sanu, Ben Watson, and Rex Burkhead, no wonder their offense was so average, set up an Edelman untouched touchdown in the Pats' lead.
Brady's yelling at Julian, get in your spot. Julian was not targeted in that first half. He's got the handoff, and he can strut in for the touchdown untouched.
The next 10 minutes would be characterized by defense though, as no team managed to put up any points. Eventually, the Patriots put together a good drive with about 5 minutes to go in the first half. They got all the way to the Titans' 1-yard line, but try
Michelle, not this time.
after try
Michelle, they got him again.
left them with only a field goal. The 2 minutes, 16 seconds on the clock left the Titans too much time though, as Derrick Henry would single-handedly crush the Patriots' defense. 3 rushes and a catch for a combined 74 yards for Henry brought the Titans down to the Patriots' 1-yard line. But unlike the Patriots themselves, the birthday boy Derrick Henry would not be denied.
Work to this point on his 26th birthday, and he's got a touchdown. Touchdown Tennessee.
From that point on, the Titans would hold that 1-point lead until almost the end of the fourth quarter, as both defenses were virtually unstoppable. An outstanding punt from Brett Kern would leave Brady on his own 1-yard line with only 15 seconds to get the at least 1 point that he needed. But former Patriots cornerback Logan Ryan had other plans.
The two of them together. Yes. I mean, we'll never see this run again, Jim. Brady's pass is intercepted and returned for a touchdown by Logan Ryan, the former Patriot.
And just like that, the Titans snapped the Patriots' AFC Championship streak and punched their ticket to face the 12-game win streak Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens' success could be characterized by their unanimous MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson, who led them to be the best offense in the league by a lot. And Lamar Jackson may be getting his own video soon. The Ravens also had the 4th best defense in the league, being the 4th best against the pass, but only the 17th best against the rush, which would once again give Derrick Henry and the Titans an exploitable way to pull off an upset. Unsurprisingly, the Ravens entered this game as 8.5-point favorites, as just about no team could stop them. and the Titans were just a team that were truly unlikely to be here. On the first drive of the game, they seemed to be somewhat truthful, as the Ravens' defense forced a punt and seemed to be a lot for Tennessee to handle.
And quickly swallowed up.
The Ravens would then begin driving down the field, looking like a team who hasn't lost since September.
Who was part of the Super Bowl champion Ravens, now in his 13th year. Jackson sells the fake, tosses, on time.
But Tennessee's Kevin Byard would capitalize on a Lamar Jackson pass off of Mark Andrews' hands, giving the Titans the ball, and they would let Derrick Henry go to work. The Titans would get down to a 3rd and goal from the 12, and then Jonnu Smith makes a spectacular play to give the Titans a 7-0 lead, and the momentum change could be felt.
Oh! Jonnu Smith, touchdown! Spectacular grab!
The momentum swing would only get better for the Titans, though, as they held Lamar Jackson on a 4th down on the next drive, and took advantage on the very next play.
About as good a start as you could have for Tennessee. Tannehill looks for the home run ball. Separation! Khalif Raymond hauls it in! Touchdown, Titans!
Before the half, the Ravens would put up 2 field goals to send the game into the 3rd quarter at 14-6 Tennessee. Coming out of the half, the Ravens got the ball with a chance to bring the game back, but Tennessee defense forced the Ravens to either take their points again or go for it on 4th. John Harbaugh, the Baltimore Ravens head coach, once again decided to go for it and was once again stopped.
And Jackson is going to come up short again.
And then, well, Derrick Henry.
A little more than a yard, a long one. Hand to Henry. Henry handles the contact, and there goes Derrick Henry. Henry has got major speed for a big man, and he takes it inside the 10.
We are now at a true deciding point in this game. Tennessee is within 5 yards of making this a 15-point game deep into the 3rd quarter with all the momentum in the world. But a stop here would surely have the Baltimore crowd excited to watch their team try to piece together a comeback. Do the Titans have another surprise up their sleeve? Tannehill's played well, but Derrick Henry has truly been the heart of this team, and he has the chance to do it again here. But this time, it won't be with his legs.
It's on the sideline. Direct snap. Henry, jump pass. Oh, trickery. Corey Davis. Touchdown, Tennessee.
You can now likely hear a pin drop in M&T Bank Stadium, and despite the time left on the clock, this game was over. The Titans would score again to make it 28-6, and a late meaningless touchdown from Lamar to Hayden Hurst would leave the final score as 28-12 Tennessee Titans. This 2019 Tennessee Titans team has really achieved the impossible. They recovered from a 2-4 start to make the AFC Championship game, knocking off 2 of the most formidable teams in the NFL during their run. And they did all of this with a question mark quarterback and a stud at the position that many consider to be unimportant. Despite the fact that Tennessee would lose to the Chiefs in their next game, they stand to represent something more important about the game of football in general. They prove that anything is possible on Sunday and that unexpected teams can really do some unbelievable things. Teams like this 2019 Tennessee Titans team really remind you why the game of football is just so great to watch.